There's nothing we need to do to the client side, right? The user still log in the same way, but in the server side, before we store the database, before we store the password into the database, we're gonna encrypt it, and we're gonna end that process in the register function. And the same thing for the logging. Before we check in if the password match, we're gonna encrypt the password and compare them. Right. So let's do it. It's actually we're gonna firstly again run install a library npm I. The library is called let me see. It's called bcrypt JS. Right. So let me just write it. I think you can find it in the assignment description, but also I'm gonna write it here. So npm I b JS. Right, so this is the library we use. Right, so this library, what it does, it just basically help us to use a way to encrypt our password. Right, so we don't have to generate a way by ourselves. Yes.
Did you do something before this one? Did you start?
No, we just start. Yeah, we just start. Right, so install this library, and while it's installing, let me just bring you to their home, to their website to let you know how that works. So bcrypt JS npm. This is the library we're using. Right, so you can see like there's many people using every day, and the way to use is just as I said. We're gonna just import that library, and we're gonna generate a sort and use that sort to hash the password. Right, so you can just read out like the documentation they have here. So I'm just gonna directly use it. It should be very straightforward to use. Let me just npm run div start application. While it is starting, we can just go ahead, go to the routes, go to user to end in the code we want. I just let's hit starting there. I'm gonna go ahead and start. Right, so in the that's the only file we need to touch. Right, in the user.js file, we to create the stuff we want. Right, so as I said, we're gonna import this library. So we're gonna do a constant bcrypt is equal to require this library. Right, so it's gonna be library name bcrypt.js. Right, import this library. And then it's looking for the register function, right? So register function is here. Create a new user, right? This one, right? This is a function for sign up, and let's so here let's take a look at this function. So we'll firstly create a new user based on the user what the user entered, and we directly save the user into the database. Right? So that's going to be changed. Before we save the user into the database, we need to encrypt the password. Right, so the way we do it, go back to where?
Installing bcrypt.
Import it, just
yeah.
Constant bcrypt, and then equal to require. I require this library into the file. Right, just like the way we import other libraries. Right, just require it. Right, so let's go to the register function. Right, so the register function. Right, so we're gonna the new user save is the one save the user into database. So we're gonna add in the code before that. It's right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a sort and a hash. This is what you need to encrypt the password and mention in their library website documentation. So the way it works is using they create. Of course, it's a library, so it's created some functions you can directly apply. So I'm using the bcrypt generate sort generate a sort here. Right. So well, generate sort. It takes a number. Right. Number again you can put it like a 1 or 2 or 20 or 100. So the way is like the bigger the number is, the more secure your password is going to be. But also it's going to take more time to encrypt it. We don't want it to be too big. The default value is 10, which is just okay for most cases. Right? Again, the bigger the number is, the more secure your application will be. The more secure the password. The harder the password will be able to be hacked. Right. So, but we're gonna use 10, which is good enough because the number is too big. It's gonna take more time to encrypt the password. Right. So again, once we generate the sort, we're gonna run a function. Right. The function takes the arrow and the sort. Right. It's a callback function. So if there is any error, we throw the arrow again, like the one before. If there's any error, just throw arrow. Again, we're just gonna use curly brace here. If the arrow, we throw the arrow. Right. And if there's no error, we can go ahead and encrypt it. So the way we encrypt it, we're gonna call the bcrypt function. And you call the hash function. Hash function is the function we use to encrypt the password. What do we want to hash? We want to hash the new user the password. Right, hash its password, and with the sort we just generated. Right, so that's going to encrypt the password, and again it's going to run a function afterwards. This is all mentioned in their website documentation. I just basically just copy the from there. So if there's any error, we throw the arrow. Else, if there's no any error, we're going to see, okay, the hash is the password, encrypted version password. So we're gonna see right now we're gonna say new user, the password is equals to the hash. Hash is the encrypted version of the password, right? Equal to the hash. And then we can save the password into database. Right, so basically you can put this one just inside here right after it. Yeah, just move that up a little bit. I have a wait here. I didn't have a sync. I need to put a sync here. Yes, put another place, put it. And I can copy this whole process into the parenthesis. Right, just make sure that's happening after the password is hashed. Yeah, so just put them all inside this inner function. Right, so start from the hash, and once we're getting the hashed password, just say to the user the password equal to that hash. Right, update the password into the hashed version, and then save it to database, and generate a response, and generate a token and a response back to the client. Right, that should be it. We can try it out. So let me see. Does it open for me? Yes, here. So if I try to sign up a new user, let's say it's using the username shiu222 password. I'm gonna put the same thing, shiu222 shiu222. Right. So if I do a register, right, it does register for me. And if I check the database right now, right, if I go to check the database, so I'm gonna check it here. I'm just gonna open the window on the right. So let's do a Mongo. Right. So do a use webmaker database db the users the find the pretty. Right, so I can see all my password. See, this is a new user. We just entered shiu222. Right, it might be a little bit too small, but you can check out later in the video. And the password here, you see, that's not a shiu222. That's something encrypted. You can see it's much longer than the other password here. And it's something like a $2A $10 FTZ blah 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 blah. That's something like just encrypted. There's that's no way to log in with this encrypted password. Right? You have to know the original password, and now like the user is the only one who knows the original password, right? So user is the only one who knows the original password. And right, so that's it for the register part. Like we encrypt the password and use the encrypted version to replace the original version. And again, we're going to change the login process as well, right? So we cannot directly compare the password. We need to encrypt the password first and then compare it. So let's go to the login function. Let's go to the login function. We're going to encrypt, same thing, we're going to encrypt when the user trying to log in, we're going to encrypt the password first, then compare it. Again, we should encrypt with the same method, right? So again, go to the login function, right? So here, constant user password here, and here let the user equal to await user file 1. Now we're looking for the user that had the username equal to the given username, password equal to the given password. But this no longer works because the password never gonna equals to the password you have in the database. So we're gonna add in a line of code before that. Right, so what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna change this one first. So firstly, we're gonna only looking for is there a user that has such username, right? Here we only check the username first, right? Check if username is correct, right? And once we check the username, let's go ahead and check in the password. Right, we're gonna actually here, if a user is not existing, just returns null, and in else, let's check in the password here, and check it in else case. So here we check if password, let's just make it shorter, validate password. Right, so we're gonna validate the password here. So the way we validate it is, so we're gonna using a bcrypt library. We're using a function, using the function called compare. I can compare the password. Right, this is the password the user entered, and with the encrypted version of password. Right, remember the user is the one which with the same username. Right, we compare that with the user's encrypted version of password. Right, this user is from database. Right, so user password is a password from database, and the password is a password the user entered. Right, we're using bcrypt to compare them, and let's see. So we can create a constant await. A constant. It's going to return us a boolean. So we're going to call this boolean. We're going to call it is match is equal to that. Await. So it's going to generate us a boolean, and then we can check if this boolean is true. We know they match. Else we know they don't match. So we can say if is match is false. Right, if is match equal to false, well, sometimes equal to false, we can just say not is match. Right, if not match equal to false, then we just raise JSON and null to the client. Right, so that means the password doesn't match. And else we don't have to do anything, just still doing the normal process, right? To generate the token and give it back to the client. Right, so that's it. Right, if it doesn't match, right, we just generate a null to the user. Again, the compare function is compares the given data against the given hash. Right, given hash is a hashed password, is an encrypted password, and the given data is just the original password. We can using the bcrypt compare function to compare them. Right, so let's try it out. So inside the waymaker here, right now if I log in as shiyu222, it should be it allows me to log in. Yep. So it does able to compare it for me. So if I enter something random, it won't allows me to log in. And there's one thing you need to be careful is like once you encrypt the password, the old users you created, none of them gonna work. Be careful about that, because the old users in the database, their password wasn't encrypted. So when we're trying to encrypt the password, compare the original password with the non-encrypted password in the database, it's never gonna match. So if I try to, for example, if I try to log in as Alice, it won't allow me to, because Alice's password is not encrypted. Right, so all the users whose password wasn't encrypted, they won't gonna work. Right, all the users won't work. Right, those are expected. because their password wasn't encrypted. When we try to compare them, not gonna match. Right, not gonna match.
Gee,
Yes.
is there a way around that?
You mean to make the
To get the old user's password encrypted.
yes, of course. So there is a tricky way to do that. Well, obviously, if we are going to make a new application, we encourage you to encrypt it at the start. But if this case is happened like you have the password encrypted, but some of them are not encrypted, we can encrypt it here, like when they log in next time, or encrypt it. So for example, here we validate the password. This one done the match, right? So we can see. We can also check. So this one, the compare, gonna check if the password is equal to the encrypted version, and we can also comparing if they are, if the password the user enter is equals to the non-encrypted password. So we can see if the if not is match, right? So let's say if is match, done a match. And the user enter the password is equals to user the password. They're just directly equal, right? This is just directly equal. Oh, we know like the user's password is just still encrypted. So what we can do is we can still allow users login. But again, we allow you to log in, but we're going to encrypt your password here. Right, so let me see. If the actually we can just put. I can just put it, make it easier. So if its password doesn't match, and the password doesn't equals to the user password, so we're gonna stop it. Otherwise, it still allows you to log in. All right, but this is not suggested because again, if we do that, what's gonna happen is like if the people knows the encrypted version password, he can still log in with the encrypted password. Right, he can still log in with encrypted password. So for example, if I log in as shu222, right, I can now I have two passwords I can use. I can use shu222 to log in. I can also using the encrypted version of password to log in. Right, it's a really long one. I just copied from database. I can log in with that as well. Right, that way also makes Alice able to log in, or the Shiyu able to log in. Right, those kind of will be work. But again, it's just not safe because it doesn't really solve the issue. Like if someone hacked into the database, they can still log in with the encrypted password here. Right, so that's also going to work, but again, we don't suggest it because that's going to break the rule. So we're only we're getting a situation because we didn't encrypt all the users when we start the application. But if we are creating some new application, some other application, we're actually going to encrypt the password at start. So just all the users will be encrypted at start. Right, so I'm just gonna delete this part because this is not a good practice. We don't want that to really happen. Right, so in reality, only the user's password is encrypted, they should be able to log in. Otherwise, they just cannot log in anymore. Right, so what we're gonna do is just directly, encrypt all the passwords at start, or we have to manually encrypt the password for the user. Okay, we can write a function to just encrypt all the password in the database one by one, and just we'll do it for the users. We can do that for the users, like just do a loop and getting all the passwords from the database and just encrypt them one by one to change the original one. Right, so that's another story. Right, so the whole process is just the two things we did. One is we create a user, we generate a sort, and use that sort to call the hash function to encrypt the password. And when we log in, we're using the compare function to comparing the original password and the encrypt password. Make sure they are match. Alright, so that's all you need to do to encrypt the password, and the database will only have record for the encrypted version of password. It's much safer than the plain password. So we're gonna add it to GitHub, so you can check the code for that. It's actually just 2 functions. Right. So that's basically everything about the last assignment, assignment 6, Waymaker 5, and start from this assignment is due on this Friday because you can see it's a very short assignment. And once it's done, we're gonna start on our project. And the future plan is like in the morning we're gonna still have morning classes, short lectures. We're gonna talk about. We're still gonna continue working on the Waymaker. Talk about some small stuff, how to improve it. For example. If you enter the wrong username password, we want to make this alert look much better than just this one. Right, it's done looks very good. We want to make it look better, and also things like there's many things we can improve. Like we want to create the components into smaller components instead of like a one page and the whole component. We can make it like especially for the navbar and the footer, we want to separate it out into smaller components. And things like there's something I'd like to do is when we get into the widget, we're going to the widget. Let me just quickly create some website, create a page, create the widget. You can see there's a lot of potential problems we can resolve, especially when we create a header widget. Right, the size, it's very tricky. It's like the left part is biggest one, the right part is smallest one. We actually want to reverse it. See that on the left is the biggest one, and when we get into the right is the smallest one. We actually want to reverse it, things like that. And then we can also provide the size numbers here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to show that on the screen. Right, so we'll do that. Like we're gonna still have short lectures in the morning to solve those small problems. Right, but they're not gonna count as part of the assignment because we're gonna mainly focus on our own project. Start from next Monday. So once you finish the assignment, don't forget to release it, and then you can start thinking about your project. And then on next Monday, start from next Monday, I'm gonna talk to each one of you to make sure you are on the right track and to make sure you can finish the things on time. I'm gonna check with you to help you to finish your assignment project. Right. So let me stop.